This is my Creality Ender 3. I've done several improvements to this, got several videos showing you how I did that, and it's been a lot of fun. And this is the first Chinese fully open source 3D printer. Well, when you're open source, of course, people are going to copy. And that's what this is. The Geeetech A10 is a clone of the Ender 3. But you know what? They improved several things, and I kind of like it. I'll explain it all on today's Filament Friday. Filament Friday is brought to you every week by the generous donations of these Patreon supporters. The first thing I liked right out of the box is it's easier to assemble. This whole top assembly comes assembled. It's really just 4 screws in the bottom, just like the CR10 Mini, which is one of my favorite printers. This one took about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to put together. There was a lot of pieces. So if you want to get printing quickly or you're just not into building the kit, this one's easier to put together. Another difference is the Y-axis rail. It's got a 20 by 40 aluminum extrusion, but it's laid flat versus on the Ender 3 where it's standing up. So you get a little bit wider base for the bed. It's a little more stable, in my opinion. Now the Ender 3 Pro has it laid flat, but that's like $100 more than this machine. These are about the same price. So you're getting that flat rail, which is what's on my CR10 Minis, and I really like it. Another feature that's really personal to me is it comes with a glass bed. I installed the glass bed on my Ender 3. I prefer to print on glass with a little bit of glue. Now both of these have a Ultra Base copy, and neither one of them are as good as the Ultra Base. So I still use a little bit of glue, but I do like that it's glued down in place, not clipped on, and that seems to have given me less Y-axis ghosting or vibration in my prints. There's still a little bit there, but that's one area where this printed a little better than the Ender 3. Very, very minor, but I think that's an advantage, at least until you crack it. If you crack it, then it's got to replace the whole bed, so that's a drawback. Another feature that's important to me, full-size SD card. I did a whole video on how I converted my Ender 3 with an adapter to a full-size SD card. This comes with a full SD card right here behind the LCD. Another feature that's on this guy that's not here is a filament sensor. Now some of the early A10s did not have this, but the new ones now shipping apparently do, and I got one. And it's a filament sensor right here, so it'll detect whether you run out of filament. And if you do, it pauses the print and lets you reload filament. Now, the sensor itself comes on a little pivoting ball, which goes into a hole here, but it's really weak, and mine cracked like within 10 prints. So that's something I need to improve, is how it's mounted. But even broken, just hanging here, it's been working fine. And I can turn it on and off right from the menu. So if I don't want to use it, I don't have to disconnect anything. I can just turn it off from the menu. Another thing that I like, and if you're into hacking or software, you'll like, this one has 256K memory. This only has 128. So you barely fit the full Marlin on here. This one, there's plenty of room. And it is running a full Marlin, and even has features that this one doesn't have available on the Marlin menu screen. And it has a bootloader on it, so you can reflash this, and the software is fully open source, meets GPL requirements, so you have access to all the information on here, and you can modify it as you want. Now this is fully open source as well, so that's, both good open source meeting GPL, which is really good. It's just you've got more memory space here, and the bootloader is already installed. This one you got to install it yourself. Another feature this has that the early A10s didn't have, it's got a bracket here on the side of the hot end for installing a BL Touch auto level sensor. And the wiring for it is actually brought out to a connector at the back here, so you can wire it up without, running a bunch of wires or changing things. You just plug it in and you're almost ready to go. The only thing you need to do is modify the firmware and update it through the bootloader, update the firmware for that auto level. So it's not just plug and play, but all the bracketry and wiring is done for you. That's a nice feature. So is everything better? Well, no, not everything. The LCD is a 4x20 character display, where the Ender 3 has a full graphics display. It gives you a little more information, or at least displayed a little easier to read or understand than the 4x20. So that is a little bit of a drawback that I give edge to Ender 3 with that full graphics display. Another area that some people have been concerned about this is the single bearings on the wheels. Now I haven't experienced any problem with mine printing. I find the bearings are pretty tight, but that can probably vary from machine to machine. The Ender 3 has dual bearings on all the wheels. 2 bearings squeezed together, and it seems to give it a little more stability than a single bearing. But so far it's been good, and I've been printing on this for like 2 months continuously. So I did ask Geeetech about it, and they said they've run a bunch of prints on it and they don't see any issues with print quality. It's more of a reliability thing I think people are concerned about. So that's a drawback. They did it to save some money, one bearing versus two. Print quality between the two is about equal. Here they are next to each other. You really can't tell them apart. Another concern I do have with this is the hot end. It's a different design than the Ender 3. The Ender 3 is just like my Creality CR10, CR10 Mini. I can get replacements anywhere. It's very simple. The PTFE tube comes all the way down to the nozzle. Some people don't like that those touch, but it's worked well for me. This one actually has a heatsink with fans on both sides, and the bottom of the heatsink separates the nozzle from the PTFE tube. That's kind of good, I guess. The problem I had is the PTFE tube wasn't pushed all the way in on mine. They ran some test prints, left some filament in there, and it hardened up and blocked the whole thing. So out of the box I couldn't print. I had to take it apart and fix it. So their quality control apparently wasn't there. So that's one issue, and I haven't been able to find this hot end online that I could just go buy a replacement. They say they can ship me a replacement if it's under 1-year warranty, but I'd still like to be able to buy it. And it might be just that it's too new, but that's one concern. I hope they make that easily available like they do on the Creality Ender3, CR10, and CR10 Mini. So now the real question, what about price? Well, I've seen both of these at Banggood for under $200, but this one's a little cheaper at Banggood. I've seen it for $179.95. You get it from a U.S. warehouse. This one, they've only got available from China, and it's $194. So that's about a $15 difference. But then on Amazon, if you buy from Amazon, I've got links to those as well. They're the same price. GearBest, I've found it's a little bit cheaper. They're about the same price in GearBest, but then shipping is like $25 because you got to get it from China. So that brings it back up. So depending on where you buy it, they're within $15 to $20 of each other, and sometimes the same price. Still both under $200. In my opinion, for under 200 bucks, you're getting a lot of printer either way, but this definitely has some features that I really like. If you're interested in getting a 3D printer and you're just getting started, I have some fantastic starter kits. I've grouped together the best Amazon stuff, my Filament Friday toolkit, Filament Friday filament, the printer of your choice. Check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. So that's it for this week. If you like what I'm doing here, maybe check out some of these videos that are popping up. If you want to help support the channel, $1 a month to Patreon. If nothing else, click on the CHEP logo and subscribe. That's it for this week. I'll see you next time right here at Filament Friday.